Alright, hi everyone. This is my second video of me reading Testing by Tamora Pierce. How'd you get there? Janice asked. That wasn't part of the testing, she really wanted to know. My parents were in the State Department, replied X-Ray. We moved around a lot. So where were you born? Asked Keisha. X-Ray frowned as if she had to think hard to remember. Guam, but we went to Peru right after that. We lived there until I was 4, and then again when I was in high school. Peru? Janice leaned closer. What was that like? Now X-Ray did smile. It was alright except for the volcano. Everybody began to yell, wanting to know about the volcano in Peru. I thought maybe she was lying when she talked about walking all day with an umbrella to keep the ash off and a scarf tied over her mouth and nose, but she showed us a picture in her wallet. It was definitely her. Definitely she had the umbrella and the scarf. From the waist down she was covered in ashes. By the time she got done telling us about how nice it was before the volcano erupted, it was time to start supper. Now, Keisha and I weren't the only ones who didn't want to test X-ray. Janice wanted to know of the places she had lived. She didn't want X-ray leaving until she'd heard it all. Janice was always writing stories in notebooks and reading about far-off countries with goofy names, telling us she'd go to them when she got out of the home and became a rich writer. She thought she could get ideas from X-ray. Maria was determined to test, though, and when Maria was set on a thing, Anna, Lou, and Elsie would back her up. No warning her. Anna told us while we finished clean up in the kitchen. At the home, the girls cooked and cleaned while the house mothers supervised. We never warned anybody else. Excuse me, we never warned nobody else. Maria excused herself from homework at the dining room table later and went into the kitchen. When she came back, she had an open-faced sandwich made of peanut butter and marshmallow fluff. I watched as she squeezed behind X-Ray's chair and stumbled. She brought the fluff and butter side straight down on the long hair, then dragged it all the way from X-Ray's neck to the ends. She immediately began to apologize, saying she was sorry over and over. Maria was the best actress in the home, though we were all pretty good. We held our breaths, waiting to see what X-Ray would do. First she pulled her hair around in front of her and inspected it, a strange look in her eyes. Oh, ick, she said finally. I could see she was breathing hard, and the corners of her mouth were tucked really tight, but she didn't blow up. Did Dr. Emma Rowena warn her that blowing up got you a failing grade on the test? She went to the big mirror in the entry hall, using it to look at her hair in the back. I know I need styling gel, but isn't this kind of extreme? She finally asked. We stared at her. What an odd thing to say. Aren't you mad? Asked Janice, wide-eyed. I'm not happy, X-Ray replied, twisting to get a better look at the back of her head. But I've had worse. Oh, yeah? Demanded Maria coldly. We all nodded. Who could believe that? Like what? X-Ray backed closer to the mirror to see if she could improve her view. Well, the girls in this tribe in Africa told me I wouldn't be cool till I did my hair like they did. They rubbed this orange clay all over my head and braided my hair. Couldn't even wash it out before we left the village because it would have hurt their feelings. We stared at each other, horrified. For real? Elsie wanted to know. I have pictures, said X-Ray. After a moment of respectful silence, Keisha asked, So how can you ever get this junk out? You have to wash and wash and wash, and it'll be all gummy. X-Ray gave herself one last look in the mirror, sighed, and walked back into the dining room. I just let it grow in college. I hate fussing with my hair. It begins to occur to me. She looked at us, and something in her eyes made me wonder if she wasn't pretty sure Maria's stumble wasn't an accident. Maybe my hair is a liability in a job like this. I'll end up using time I should spend on the job, keeping it out of my face. She sighed again. I'll tuck it up and tie a scarf over it for now, and we'll get it cut tomorrow. We all traded looks. The plan was that she'd run upstairs and jump right in the shower. We could stay up late and she'd never know while she tried to get that gunk out of her hair. Now we were stuck and she hadn't even yelled at us. I cut hair good, Lou commented suddenly. I used to cut my sister's hair at home. Maybe she even had. We never talked about her real family. X-Ray bit her lip and touched the back of her neck lightly. A hank of white and gold-streaked hair stuck to her fingers. She tugged them free. You sure? Absolutely positive, Lou told her. We scattered, some of us to find newspapers, Janice to get the tall stool, and others to fetch a towel and comb and to giggle in the bathroom. X-Ray brought the good scissors from the office. Of course, it was a really long time ago when I cut hair last, said Lou as she chopped a big chunk right out of the middle of the mess. And oh my God, I saw X-Ray's shoulders droop. Still, she didn't stop the party. Instead, she told us about the photo safari that ended in the African village, while Lou cut and Marie and I took turns wiping goo off the scissors. When Lou finished, we were all quiet. Poor old X-Ray looked as if somebody had cut her hair with hedge clippers. What she did when she saw herself in the mirror was important. We all knew that. It was like the moment when Maria smeared that mess over her hair. If she did a jalapeno, we had her. If she started to cry, we had her. Particularly if she walked straight out the door, we had her. If she did the sweet, silly thing and said it was a great cut, we knew she was just another lying social worker pretending to be a friend. By the time we got to the Smithton home, we all had it up to here with people like that. X-Ray inspected the cut in Elsie's hand mirror, then went back to the entry hall mirror. We followed her. Lou kept her hands over her mouth, trying not to crack up. Anna and Elsie were snorting. X-ray took her time viewing the damage. Again, I saw the corners of her mouth tuck. First down, then weirdly up. Her breath came faster for a while, then slowed. At last she said to Lou, "Could be worse, but not by much." Lou ran upstairs, laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. X-ray shook her mangled head. "Let's clean up that mess and finish the homework," she told us. "And then it's getting on toward bedtime." "Why aren't you mad?" demanded Maria. "I think she was angry that X-ray kept all her feelings hidden. I'd be mad." "I'm upset," X-ray said, looking straight at us. "I'm human, and I don't want to look like a dazed porcupine this week. Thanks all the same. Still, the damage is done. It can be fixed. If I didn't learn anything else growing up, I learned that you do better if you just deal and move on. When you keep meeting people from different cultures, you can get yourself in real trouble by losing your temper." "Homework." We got to studying. She went upstairs. When she came back down, she had wrapped a scarf around her head and made it into a kind of turban. We knew then she wasn't going to wash her hair until we were asleep. Lou came down with her. When we looked at Lou to see if X-ray had yelled at her, Lou shook her head. "She said I might want to get lessons before I cut any more hair," whispered Lou when X-ray went into the kitchen for some water. The next morning, Rowena came to drive us to school. I was the only one downstairs sitting at the dining room table. I heard Rowena gasp when X-ray let her in. "My God, girl, what happened to your head?" Someone the night before X-ray had shampooed what hair she had left and gotten rid of the turban. I couldn't hear X-ray's answer, but I heard Row. "Dr. M is going to be pissed." "No," X-ray said flatly, loud enough that I could hear. "I asked Lou to cut my hair. I don't want her getting in trouble for something I asked her to do. Besides, once I get it trimmed, it'll be easier to take care of." "But aren't you mad?" I heard a Row ask just like one of us. X-ray laughed. "When you get back, I'll tell you something worse that happened to my hair once." I told the rest what she had said on the way to school. Lou seemed thoughtful, like maybe she was sorry she had done it now. If X-ray hadn't stood up for her, Lou would be on restrictions forever. We knew that. But Maria was still the hard case. "She's just trying to suck up and make us her little buddies," she told us as Row was paying for gas. "You wait, it's all a fake." When we got home from school that afternoon, we found X-ray with her hair trimmed and shaped short like a boy's. She actually looked okay. And she'd stopped off at home because a scrapbook sat on the dining room table. It was open to a picture of her at our age. Orange clay caked her head, turning a pair of braids she wore into orange turds. We laughed till we cried. Oh. Then Janice wanted to look at the rest of the book. Keisha and Elsie did too, partly because they were interested. What was X-ray doing in Morocco? Partly because that was the next plan. I wanted to hear the stories too, but I was in our latest test, never mind being up for 2 hours in the middle of the night with an attack. While the other girls kept X-ray busy, Maria, Lou, and I sneaked out the back door. Our yard was circled by a hedge 6 feet high. Nobody but girls or staff was allowed in there. Our boyfriends were right outside the back gate. We'd set it up at school. Lou and her boyfriend ducked low until they were past the kitchen and dining room windows, then went to the far side of the yard where they couldn't be seen from the house. Maria and I stayed close to the gate, talking with the guys. I was too nervous to kiss Pete in front of other people. Maria and Chuck weren't that far along yet. They were actually talking about books when X-ray walked through the gate. She must have left the house through the front door and came around the yard so quietly that we didn't hear her. I never thought someone who's so medium could go so cold. Chuck and Pete actually seemed to shrink, even though they were taller than she was. "We," Pete began to say. X-ray pointed to the gate. "Out," she said flatly. Chuck and Pete left. X-ray walked over to Lou and her boyfriend. They were so busy she had to tap his shoulder. When he looked around and saw her, he actually backed away from Lou. X-ray pointed to the gate, and he left. Back came X-ray with Lou. We all went inside. When we got as far as the dining room, the other girls looked at us with horror. They told us later she'd gone to answer the phone in the office. They never saw her leave the building. "I'd like to think the rest of you didn't know about this, but I'm not so sure," X-ray told us. "In any event, up to your rooms till supper, all of you. And you know I have to report this to Dr. M." The way she said it, not even Janice tried to talk her out of it. We all knew the rules, there were no exceptions, and it had just occurred to us that medium, quiet X-ray could be strict. On our way up the stairs, Maria whispered in my ear, "She's quick, you gotta give her that." We complained to each other. We swore we were running away. Elsie, who had a knack for being over the top, said the home was just as bad as prison, though we knew it was no such thing. Maria had been in prison for a week. Keisha had been in jail for a month before they placed her in the home. From what they said, we never wanted to go to a real prison. We came down for supper, cleanup, and homework. By then, Dr. Emmett arrived to give the lecture and hand down the punishment. After that, we went to our rooms. Friday night was when the staff took us out for pizza, to the mall, or to a movie. With everybody on restrictions, Friday should have been a major pain, but it wasn't. X-ray showed us how to make stir-fry for supper. Then we had ice cream, and she told us stories from the photos in her scrapbook. "Why take so many pictures?" Maria asked as she paged through. "You have, all kinds just from Calcutta, and you were only there for a week." "I'm a photographer," X-ray said. "I like taking pictures. It gave me something to do when I didn't have friends to hang out with." "So if you're a photographer, how come you're working here?" Anna wanted to know. Because everybody has to start somewhere, and I have to eat till I get rich and famous, X-Ray told her. I have to build my portfolio to show what I can do. Besides, I took social work in college. Maria ran a finger over a picture of a beggar who sat beside a soda machine. Would you show us how to take nice pictures like these? Yeah, cried Elsie, that'd be cool. We begged X-Ray to teach us. She looked us over with a wary eye. Maybe she was remembering we switched the sugar for salt at breakfast, or that her Evita CD that she had played for us the day before had gone missing. Tell you what, she said finally, you'll have to find your own cameras, even if they're the throwaway kind. We'll start with that, and I'll develop your photos on my time off. Beyond that, we'll see. Now we looked at the pictures in her scrapbook differently, asking her how she'd taken them. Friday night ripped by. We hardly remembered to be mad because we were on restriction. We had to wait for the next test till Sunday afternoon when we took our nature walk. Keisha really fought that. She was afraid X-Ray would kill an animal. When we finally talked her around, and on the walk she found a nice garter snake. We left it in X-Ray's bed. Then we wait. They're so mean. Then we had to wait till bedtime. X-Ray stayed downstairs for hours. It felt like writing in the log. Then she climbed upstairs. We all went to our doors to listen. Nothing. 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 Her light went out. Still nothing. Some of us waited till midnight, thinking we'd hear the scream any minute. We didn't hear a thing. Keisha could be so dumb. She and Maria were on the schedule to fix breakfast. As soon as they got to the kitchen, where X-Ray was starting the coffee, Keisha said, "You killed it!" "Nope," X-Ray replied. "I don't believe you," Keisha said. She started to cry. "You killed it." Maria said X-Ray sighed and went upstairs. When the rest of us came down to breakfast, there was a shoebox with air holes punched in it on the kitchen counter. Snake was curled up inside under some paper towels and with a jar lid full of water next to it. "I'm taking it back where you got it," X-Ray said when we sat down to eat. "It's shame on you for yanking animals from their homes for a joke." "That's it," Keisha told us when we piled into the van for school. "No more animal tests. X-Ray's right." "Get us all in trouble, why don't you?" muttered Janice as Rowena got in. X-Ray didn't report us or the snake to Dr. M. Everybody listened. Maria said when we met for a planning session at lunchtime, "No more of the test stuff till Wednesday. We hit her with everything on our last day." "Why?" Janice asked. "I like her." "Me too," said Keisha. I raised my hand. If X-Ray stayed, maybe the attacks would stop. Things would be calm again. Maria put her hands on her hips and glared at us. We liked Penny, but she turned up wrong, and Mrs. Bertoldi just dumped us because we were extra work. We saved it all for her last day, all right? So, we were all angels for 3 whole days, except for Maria and Anna getting in a fight over Maria's plum nail polish that Anna said was hers. And Lou sneaked a long-distance call to her dad, who she still thought was going to take her back. Ro caught me smoking behind the work shed. More restrictions. Janice thought someone stole a cheap-oid camera and ran around accusing everybody, but when we looked, it turned up in the mess under her bed. Wednesday afternoon, when we got back from school, we hit the ground running. Even Renee got tired some by Wednesday. In the first couple of weeks, new house mothers were always wrung out by the end of their shift, which is why we had saved up. At snack time, supper time, and homework time, when we were supposed to be together in one room, a couple of us always made sure to be gone, so X-Ray couldn't sit for 5 minutes without having to get up and hunt for missing girls. Our school friends called off and on all night, so X-Ray kept having to run to the office to get the phone. They always hung up when she answered. Lou put a kick me sign on X-Ray's back. Just like Lou. So immature. Because none of you are doing immature things. Just as homework time was ending, the phone in the office rang again. X-Ray actually growled. We waited for her to walk into the office and close the door. Then Anna and Keisha, who were the strongest, grabbed the knob and hung on. Doors of the home opened in. With these two on the outside, there was no way X-Ray could escape. She rattled the knob, tugged on it, banged on the door, and yelled. "Girls, this isn't a good idea." Anna and Keisha hung on, giggling. The office went quiet, and everyone but Anna and Keisha ran upstairs to do what they had planned. I was disgusted by the whole thing and went into the dining room to finish my homework. I didn't hear, nobody heard, X-Ray pull the chair over to the window and open it. We found out later that she climbed out, quiet like a ghost, slipped under the dining room window, slid out the back gate, and walked around. I saw her when she very quietly opened the front door with the home keys and let herself in. My jaw dropped. She held her fingers up to her lips and walked, not tiptoe, but still without a sound, down the hall. She waited until she was right behind Anna and Keisha before she said, "Do you two girls need something?" as if they'd never locked her in. They screamed and jumped and ran upstairs. X-Ray went back into the office. Oh my god. This is great. Okay, I need to make another video and keep reading.